So, ladies and gentlemen, we need to proceed with this, what's called Session 1, the first plenary session of the General Assembly. These are the sessions in which the business of the IAU is done. Some of this may seem perhaps to you sometimes slightly quaint, but these are procedures which evolve within international organizations to maintain the balance and the way things are done. So I'm also well aware, of course, that we are trying to catch up a little time if we can, because I do not want to interfere with the cocktails which you might consider more important than some of the matters we have to vote on. First of all, it is my duty to welcome the official representations of the national member countries. So we have, and it'll take 3 sheets to get through them. The first list is already here on the screen. I'm continuing on to Lithuania. So welcome to all of those people. You should all be seated, and you should all have a card for voting. For those of you who may be unfamiliar with the procedures, voting on many matters in the General Assembly, all matters at the moment, is by national representative, either 1 vote per country or on items involving finance according to their level of membership. It is the next formal duty I have is to appoint what is called the tellers. We have a small group of people who have been asked to count the votes. I think, an interesting small initiative we've taken in this General Assembly. These four young people who have agreed to be tellers are all selected from the group of young astronomers who met here earlier today. So I hope this can be taken as a symbol that we want to involve the young astronomers in all aspects of the Union. Now, if we hadn't done this, they may not have come, but now they have to. Now it is one of my great pleasures to admit new members of the Union. Of course, it is always a wonderful thing when we have new countries which are joining the IAU. And at this General Assembly, we will be admitting 3 people, and each of those will have an opportunity to make a short statement if they have a representative present. The first is Thailand, who will be the executive wishes to admit with full status, and we have Professor Bunraksa Sunthranomthram, who will make a statement for Thailand.
General Secretary of the International Astronomical Union, distinguished astronomers, participants, ladies and gentlemen, at the outset, on behalf of our country, Thailand, may I take this opportunity to convey our best wishes to this assembly. Our country is now on the way to establish a solid foundation for a course in science and technology, realizing that a learned and competitive society in this rapidly changing world could be attained only when the country's human resources are scientific-oriented. Astronomy, which may be labeled the oldest science of human beings, has emerged as a landmark of such activity. Accordingly, the Thai cabinet had passed a consensus procuring the National Astronomical Research Institute of Thailand, or NARIT in short, in the year 2004. The main mission of the Institute is to enhance the competitiveness in science of our country through relevant research in astronomy, as well as to initiate collaboration and links between national and international organizations of the same kind. The National Observatory, the facility under the umbrella of the Institute, as well as the Information Technology and Training Center in Astronomy, is now under construction at the summit of Intanon Mountain in Chiang Mai, the northern province of Thailand, which is renowned for its natural beauty. The observatory will be equipped with the 2.4-meter automated telescope with some advanced detectors to facilitate research work for both local and international astronomers. To be present as a witness to the formal adoption of the National Astronomical Research Institute of Thailand as a new member of the International Astronomical Union is really a great honor and privilege for me. I do hope to see the global collaboration network in astronomy between Thailand and all other member nations to mark the crucial development, especially in East Asia, in the field of astronomy. Finally, I look forward to the day when Thailand, with all our efforts, may contribute new knowledge in astronomy to the world. Sooner or later, that day will come. Thank you.
The next country who has been, for which the executive would like to provide interim membership is Mongolia, but we have been unable to contact Professor Dimin. Is he in the audience? So it appears that he hasn't been able to make it, but of course we can go ahead and vote on the admission in a minute. The third country who has, for which the executive wishes to offer interim membership is Lebanon. Given the difficulties, it was unclear if we would have the representative of Lebanon. Okay, so we are proposing the slate of 3 countries for admission: Lebanon, Mongolia, and Thailand. And I would like to now take the first vote of the National Committee. You can hold your card up. All those in favor of admitting these 3 countries. Okay, thank you. Are there any opposing the entry of any of these countries? We'll vote separately if necessary. Are there any abstentions? Then I would like... There are unanimous votes in favor of acceptance, and so I would like to announce formally that these 3 countries are now members of the Union. The next and perhaps most important piece of business we have to conduct at this plenary meeting is the revisions to the statutes and the bylaws. And I have asked Bob Williams to introduce each of these and make some remarks. Bob?
Thanks, Ron. 3 years ago, this General Assembly, or the General Assembly of the Union, approved extensive modifications to the statutes and the bylaws that did 3 things. It made the statutes and bylaws conform more closely to the new structure of the IAU. It also brought the IAU more in conformity with other ICSU unions, and it also streamlined many of our processes. Those revised statutes and bylaws have been serving us well for the past 3 years. However, there are several specific issues that have emerged and been brought to the attention of the Executive Committee that have caused some concern among some of the individual members. We have discussed these concerns within the Executive Committee, and we have agreed that 4 of them merit the attention of the Assembly, and we have chosen to bring them before you as proposed modifications to the statutes and the bylaws. Let me just say briefly what they are. They are spelled out in the information bulletin number 98 that you have. Perhaps they have appeared in the newspaper. That I don't know. I haven't.
They were in the newspaper for the first day, and in one case with an erratum which was published today. So they've all been in the newspaper.
Yes, well, by process, they need to be put in here, and they have been. And so let me just say briefly what those 4 are. 1, modification to the statutes, and that is to have scientific issues by vote of the individual members rather than the national members, which is how it used to be before we changed that 3 years ago. 3 suggested changes to the bylaws. The first, allowing division presidents to nominate individual members of the union, which now is possible for the division presidents only if said individual members are not represented by a national member. Second change in the bylaw, to allow the organizing committee of the divisions to exceed 12 members on occasion. Now the bylaw specifies 6 to 12 members. And the third bylaw change is to increase the number of categories for dues to a larger number than the current, I think it's 9 categories, to allow for a more even distribution of dues payments of member countries that have a large number of individual members. Now, what I propose is that we treat each of them individually and take a vote. Again, since all voting right now, according to the statutes and the bylaws, is by national members, we really are speaking now to the group that just voted, the national members. And so, and by the way, they have been apprised of these changes, so they've had a chance to discuss with us and discuss among themselves the issues. But it is important that we carry on this discussion before the individual members, before this assembly, and we will do that now. So I propose that we put up the change to the statutes.
That's it.
All right. Let me comment on this before we perhaps allow a few comments from the audience, and just give you the Executive Committee's take on this. Some people prefer that the national members vote on issues of science because such votes reflect the opinions of the countries that are representing them. Other members believe that questions of science should be decided by discussion and vote of individuals who participate in the discussion and debate. Our feeling is that there is no one right way. Obviously, either of these processes would work. And so it comes down to we here in the union and this assembly deciding what do we want the IAU to be. It is the feeling of the Executive Committee, who has discussed this issue and rediscussed it, that we believe that having individual members cast vote on issues of science is a more accurate reflection of how scientific consensus is achieved. And therefore, we strongly support this proposed change to allow the executive committee to decide which issues are scientific in nature and those that are not, and for those that are scientific in nature, to allow discussion and debate among the individual members of the union rather than the national members. So in a way, we are asking the national members right now to transfer the authority on questions of science back to the individual members. I should also say that the executive committee is thinking and hoping to change the way in which we take votes to allow for electronic voting. And so we see this modification in the statutes as part of an evolution to a possible future in which discussion and debate occurs both in the General Assembly and perhaps also through the electronic media. And so we urge the national members to support this change in the statute.
Okay, we do have the unique possibility of a few, obviously not many, comments if people from the audience wish to make them. I would prefer to hear the comments from the individual members because the National Committee representatives had an opportunity yesterday already to have this discussion, but that's only a suggestion. I might just make a personal comment here. When I took this job, I did undertake to try and respond to what the members of the union wanted. And I think the second largest number of emails I have had related to this issue and the wish by the individual members that they could participate directly in these votes on scientific issues. Anybody have any comments? Yes. Oh, just a minute, John. I should clarify, we have to vote each of them separately.
Right, well,
I will refer that to Bob. It is
it is our belief that that does not have a direct implication, and I emphasize the word direct, on the budget, and therefore it is a non-budgetary matter, in which case each national member has only one vote.
We will vote on each of these in turn, and the first one is on the statutes, but it is a good question, and in fact it's a gray area even. If you put your hand up, wave it as, yes, I see it at the back. Do we have a microphone roving? So yes, perhaps people can move to the aisles and use the microphones.
Just a short question on procedures. When will this change be in effect? When we are now voting to give the rights back to the individual members, is then the next vote which we take already members?
Well, we have no other scientific issues on the vote, so it will come into effect as soon as we've taken the vote, but it won't influence the rest of this session, but it will influence what happens in the second session.
Yeah, it takes effect at the end of this session.
Okay, yes, I see a waving hand in the back.
I think it would be very important to couple this decision with the electronic voting, because that way will be really open to all members.
Okay, I think the executive can handle that by what normally happens in addition to the statutes and bylaws, which have to be voted here in the General Assemblies. There are things called working rules, which are the way you implement the statutes and bylaws. And I think, Bob, I think, Catherine, this would be for you perhaps as next president, that you take it on board, that the executive starts to investigate the possibility of electronic voting, which we have already discussed.
Yes.
Yeah, the executive committee has the authority to do that, and
So we will take this as a recommendation that we do that, and that's what we intend to do. Okay. I suggest then we take the vote. The vote on this item is, of course, by national representatives and with one vote per country. All those in favor? Those against? Those abstaining? Does the discrepancy affect the conclusion? I agree it affects what we record. Yes, we... and are you satisfied that that was... Okay, so I can announce for the first vote then, we have 32 in favor of the modification to the statutes, none opposed, 3 abstentions.
The second, we may not be coordinating here. The second that I had is the one about the division presidents. This is in the bylaws.
Bylaw 1, number 4.
I'm trying to see what it is. Yes, okay. This does involve the division presidents. The division presidents feel that they need the authority to nominate individuals with expertise that is needed for certain specialized work in the commissions and the working groups in non-traditional areas and in areas where members of the union may not be the best experts. On the other hand, we are aware of the fact that many national members wish to retain the authority, understandably, for deciding who members are from their own countries. And so there's some controversy about this issue. The Executive Committee feels that the flexibility of allowing division presidents to nominate individual members is not likely to be abused and would be an important mechanism that would provide desirable expertise to the commissions and working groups and increase the diversity. And therefore, we support this change in the bylaws.
Okay. Are there anyone who wishes to make a comment on this proposed change to the bylaws? I'll repeat the question. The question was, could we please explain the pressing necessity for this change to the bylaws?
I have nothing further to add. If your emphasis is on pressing, I guess you could say that it's not pressing in the sense that the union would operate without it. It's a question of what is the best way to go. And the division presidents, again, I repeat, would like to be able to nominate people to the commissions or appoint them to working groups who sometimes are not members of the union because there's work that we do in non-traditional areas. And so for that reason, this is something that the division presidents feel strongly about. In our discussions with them, we agree. And so it's really a question of the control of the individual members of the union. Should that reside entirely with the national members and with the executive committee, because now, according to the bylaws, the executive committee can also nominate individual members. But at the present time, you can see up there that the division presidents can only nominate individual members if those individual members are not represented by a national member.
All I would add to that is, I think we want to know how you vote on this. Yes?
Yes, Alan Harris, USA, is a past commission president. I was confronted with a political situation where a country's nominating committee or member committee overlooked a very eminent scientist for apparently some political reasons. And it fell to me finally to exercise the authority that was given to commission presidents at that time and put forth that member for a nomination. So I think as unfortunate and as unpleasant as it is to bring these realities to light, such occasions do happen, and I think it is very appropriate that the now division president should have that power. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes?
I am the division president of Division 1. As for this issue, we do support or we do require this amendment, mainly because for some area, for example, in the Division 1, it's a fundamental astronomy. It is not limited within the astronomy, but it has a tight relation with the geophysics or meteorology or mathematics or some other area. And we do need a collaboration, and we do need help from the other academic experts. And sometimes I feel that the national representative or the national committee have knowledge within the astronomy of each country, but sometimes it is not for the other scientific fields. So I'd like to ask you your favor to have some kind of limited privilege for the division president to recommend the new individual membership.
Thank you.
And let me also remind the members here that this is only to nominate. It is not to elect. And so there still is a process where if the national members object to a particular nomination, they can inform the executive committee. So this is just for nomination, to initiate the process.
Okay. Yes, I see one more question.
Is this to be regarded as a financial matter? Because I wonder if it should be, because this could affect the level of contribution if it's used many times.
The level of contribution is something that is negotiated by the IAU executive and the country. There's not a one-to-one relationship between the number of members in your country and the contribution. But of course, it is a guideline to what the contribution should be. And so when the IAU executive negotiates, as it does, both on entrance and then subsequently with various countries, this will be used, but it does not determine the contribution. So the link is not direct. So I believe it is our interpretation that this is not voted as financial, is that?
Yes, correct.
Okay, I think we should take the vote on bylaw 1, bylaw 4. Those in favor of the proposed change. Okay, those opposed? Abstentions? So to repeat that, we had 33 in favor of the change, 1 against, and 2 abstentions. Thank you. So that change is also carried.
The second change in the bylaws, at least according to my list, is, Ron, you can adapt to this, is a fairly straightforward one, and that is, it was our hope to streamline the organization of the union and therefore limit the number of members of organizing committees of the divisions to 12. Almost all of them have done that. There are occasions in which 1 or 2 of the divisions feel that the areas covered by those divisions is so broad and diverse that they cannot give adequate representation with just 12 individuals, and they have appealed to us to allow them in exceptional circumstances to exceed that number. And therefore, we're simply proposing that the word normally be added to that particular bylaw. And since this is in the bylaws, and since some division presidents feel very strongly about this, we have agreed to have the union consider this.
This is a very simple matter, so I suggest we directly vote on it to save time for the more important ones. So perhaps I could ask Virginia, it would be more sensible if I ask those who oppose. To the opposed, I've switched the order. Those who are abstaining, those in favor. Do we need to take a count? I think it's... Virginia reports that the sum of those who... Virginia reports that 36 have voted in favor. Thank you. Finally, and quite importantly, the last change to the bylaws. Section 7, number 25. Bob.
Currently, there are just 10 categories for the payment of dues. The union is growing, and if you look at the dues paid per individual member by some of the countries, there are inequities. Now, this is not surprising when you're dealing with small numbers, but it does have impact when you're dealing with large numbers. And in fact, there is one country in particular that has almost 1/3 of the individual members of the union belonging to it, but does not pay a commensurate amount of dues. That, of course, is my country, the United States. We have been trying to deal with this situation for some time, and we believe that there is a good chance that we will find appropriate funding sources to redress this problem so that the United States does pay a commensurate amount of dues comparable to the other large countries. But there's no category currently in the bylaws which specify this, that enables that to take place. And therefore, we are proposing that we add 2 additional categories for countries with a large number of individual members. You can see their categories 11 and 12 with 60 and 80 units. That number was decided upon because it is roughly a constant multiplicative factor. And so simply we want to define those larger categories now in the bylaws. Now this does have financial consequences and also some political ones as far as the votes in the union are concerned. And so there are some national members who are concerned about this. On one hand, if we define a larger category and succeed in finding the dues, let's say in the United States, although this could well apply to other countries in the future, at the current time, this would lead to an increase in the annual budget of the IAU of $100,000, which could be put to good purpose, as you well know. On the other hand, what this also means is that any voting on matters that directly pertain to the budget, where the national members have a vote amount that is equal to their category plus one, this would increase the voting influence of the larger members. Some of the members, the national members of the smaller countries, are concerned about the increased influence of the larger countries in such votes. Obviously, the other side of that issue is we have a larger budget that can be used and put to very good purposes. So there is actually some division of feeling here. The executive committee feels that the increased resources outweighs the concerns, I guess, of the small countries, particularly in a union like ours, which really requires some trust and cooperation among the various countries. And so for us, we really strongly support this initiative. But we certainly should give some of the national members who might oppose this a chance to voice their concerns about it.
Thank you, Bob. Any questions or comments on this change? John first.
Microphone.
Oh, I should remind people to introduce themselves and where they're from.
Hi, I'm John Huckra from the United States. I wanted to say two things. First, that the United States strongly supports this change in the bylaws because we do believe that we have been underpaying. And the second thing is that we can't absolutely guarantee we'll find the money, but we're damn sure going to try. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. Yes?
I'm Paul Laskaridis from Greece. You did not explain why did you cross out the last sentence of this bylaw. The necessity is finished here.
The attempt was made in a previous change to the statute to include an automatic way to increase the levels, but it was done in uniform increments. That, in fact, was not the intention when this structure was established in the Union, nor is it normal practice. It's normal practice to have a logarithmic or geometric relation between the contribution and the number of votes. If you had the factors of 10, the U.S., if it is to be the U.S., would be in category 20 or something. So this is the reason. Yes, magnitudes would be fine.
Okay, my name is Tancredi. I'm coming from Uruguay. I'm coming from a country on the other side of the spectrum, on the of those countries who have very few members. And what I want to point out is, in fact, our country was suspended in this General Assembly due to the fact that we have not been able to contribute to the IAU in the last years. And this is due to the fact that for very small countries like us, and I think there are a few of them with just a few members, it's extremely expensive to pay the fees of the Astronomical Union. Let's put just an example. In my country, there are just 4 or 5 astronomers, and if you compare to the second category that has usually 10 times more astronomers than our country, they just pay 2 times. And if you compare to the very big countries like the United States that has 1,000 times more astronomers, they only pay 80 times. So I'm not making any proposal, but I think it's something that it should be looked by the next executive committee, how it could deal with the problem of very small countries and maybe create a category on the other side of the spectrum.
Thank you. I think that's an excellent comment, and I thank you for it. It is with great embarrassment that we have to, under our statutes and bylaws, deny votes to poor countries with few astronomers who often struggle to pay the dues, and I am very sympathetic to the view that we might be able to have lower categories as well as higher categories. So thank you for that comment. One more.
No, I'll be extremely brief. I think the purpose, rules can never prevent people from doing stupid things. Rules should not force the IAU to do stupid things, like it used to be, dropping countries that could not pay for a few years. Now it's suspended, but you don't need to reapply to get back to the Union. So the new rules do not force the IAU to do stupid things that always were an embarrassment. And rules should never prevent the IAU Executive Committee from doing intelligent things, which is the spirit of the current change, which we support.
Okay, thank you, Johannes. Okay, I see no other discussion, so we will take the vote on this, and this is, Bob, to be, again, a vote, one vote per country. Is that correct?
One vote per country, majority of those voting decides the issue.
Those, I'll go backwards again like we did before. Who opposes this change? All right. Okay, those for? Those against? Those abstaining? Okay, the tellers report 36 in favor, no against, no abstentions. Thank you. We now have two important, but I think matters that we can handle quite quickly. They're, of course, very important. There is the appointment of some of the committees which are critical to the functioning of the Union. One is the Finance Committee. These are the names which have been proposed by the countries. The one thing that I would like you to watch on these lists, and you can get a copy later if it hasn't been distributed, in some cases we may still not know the proposed member. So I presume, General Secretary, we can still accept late names under the Johannes guideline that if we're sensible, that's what's intended. So if anybody sees a blank where they know who that is, please tell Monique or... and then continuing, Finance Committee. They will fit. I am presenting that list of people and these are duly appointed as members of the Finance Committee. The next committee, which is also important for the Union, is the Nominating Committee. As Bob mentioned earlier, there is an additional step in the admission of individual members in which the Nominating Committee looks at all of the proposed members primarily to try to keep some uniformity in standards across all of the countries and have systems of admission which are similar. Again, if people have names, they can provide to us to add to this list. They will be added. So I duly declare the Nominating Committee appointed. One of the most important parts of this session is that the General Secretary of the Union presents his summary of the report of the Executive Committee. So at this point, we can switch to the PowerPoint slides, and I would like to ask Ojbon Engevald, who has been doing enormous work for the Union for the last 3 years, to present his report. Ojbon.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you the report of the triennial report for the Executive Commission of the IAU 2003 to 2006. I would like to start by reminding you, so these are the elements of my report. I go quickly through them. And you see here the constitution of the Executive Committee for these last 3 years. I'd like to remind you that the governing bodies of the IAU is the General Assembly, first of all, and then the Executive Committee, and then we have the officers, which is who are a subset of the Executive Committee, which is the President-elect, the General Secretary, and the Assistant General Secretary. And these bodies have the governing responsibility of the Union's business. And they usually meet to conduct these businesses regularly once every year. And so the first meeting of this Executive Committee was held in connection with the former General Assembly in Sydney. Then we had one meeting in Mexico City, and one meeting in Rome. The dates are there. And in between these meetings, and as in preparation for the big meetings of the Executive Committee, the officers meet to prepare the documents for the EC meetings. Then I should just add that the scientific work of the Union are done through the 12 scientific divisions, and each covering a broad, well-defined area of astronomical science. And that the divisions' activities in science are further organized in commissions that covers well-defined disciplines. And then we have working groups and program groups to do this. But my report now will be on the activities of the EC, whose objective is to make the Union promote and safeguard the science activities of astronomy in all its aspects. At the 25th General Assembly, the previous one, we had, let me see, oh, I see it there, yes. Then there we had accepted 4 new national members, and they are listed here: Nigeria, Republic of Serbia. At that time, it had a different name. It was Serbia and Montenegro, Romania, and Tajikistan. Also at that General Assembly, we had accepted 894 new members of the Union, individual members. And as of July this year, the number of individual members is 8,488. During this 3-year period, we are saddened to be informed about the death of 171 members of the Union. We have working groups who are doing important work in closely interacting with the executive. We have, I will go quickly through this to save time. In particular, mention the IAU Minor Planet Center, that we have this group which is in charge of recording and maintaining the inventory of small bodies in the solar system. And the previous agreement with the host, the Smithsonian Astronomical Observatory, expired at this General Assembly, and we are pleased that we were enabled to sign a continued a memorandum of agreement that secures a continued operation of this important service to the scientific community as well as also to society. Then we have, at this General Assembly, have been prepared for a reviewing of the structure of commissions and working groups to ensure vitality and relevance of the scientific bodies that has been now subjected to scrutiny and review, and decisions on commissions will be prolonged, modified, or discontinued, will be taken at this General Assembly. Other signs that involves the EEC, the Executive Summary, is the International Year of Astronomy that was unanimously voted on, a resolution to ask that 2009 would be declared the Year of Astronomy by the United Nations in recognition of the significance of Galileo's introduction of astronomical telescope in 1609. And this proclamation was subsequently prepared and has been forwarded to UNESCO. And we were happy that the UNESCO General Conference last year recommended that to the United Nations that they adopt the resolution. And I'd like to read what UNESCO said, that the study of the universe has led to numerous scientific discoveries that have great influence on not only on humankind's understanding of the universe, but also on the technological, social, economic development of society, and that astronomy proves to have a great implication in study of science, philosophy, religion, and culture. And the IAU will have a plenary session on Friday this week for further discussion and further planning of this International Year of Astronomy. Many of you cannot avoid to be aware of the interest for the recent, triggered by the discoveries of trans-Neptunian objects, and this has been touched already by Professor Eckers. And I would like to just mention that the difficulty that has brought about this whole topic, brought it to the forefront of discussion, is that the boundaries between the major planet and the minor planet has never been defined. In the early days, this was not a problem, since the gap between Mercury, the smallest planet, and Ceres, the largest minor planet, was enormous. And since Pluto was discovered, at the discovery thought to be larger than the Earth, there was still not a problem. And indeed, even with the current value of the size of Pluto, it would not have been a problem because the gap from Pluto to Ceres is still large, if it was not for the discovery of trans-Neptunian objects, which now at least one is larger than Pluto. So this issue is of great interest, and it has consumed a lot of time and work in the executive, and which has taken steps with the aim to reach a decision here at this General Assembly. The General Assembly, or the executive, is responsible for selection of scientific meetings that receive support from the IAU. And in the selection or decisions on these, the 12 scientific divisions play a central and most important role. And so you see here the number of symposia and colloquia that has been supported in the previous years. And we also are supporting continue to support regional meetings as listed in this slide. I'd like to take you very quickly through the list of publications that comes out of these meetings. Since we run short of time, I cannot leave this very long, but I had like to show it because it illustrates the variety of exciting and very timely topics that have been covered in these past 3 years. But this is a very important element of what the responsibility of the IAU. Another important part of the IAU activity are the educational programs. And we've had educational programs, and we have the International School for Young Astronomers, which is a great success. And we have the worldwide development of astronomy, another program group of the IAU, who are visiting a number of countries. They are listed here: Mongolia, Kenya, Thailand, Iraq, Cuba, Trinidad and Tobago. And these are being contacted and offered help, and also some of them are now offered and have been accepted as members, national members of the Union. The IAU is part of a large network of other scientific organizations, and we have the network is kept in place by having appointing individual members of the union as representatives to these, and we enjoy then the interaction and exchange of information and advice between this network of other scientific unions or organizations. And mentioned here in particular ICSU, and which also gives us, in addition, close to 30 other contact to 30 other scientific unions. And the CODATA, which handles issues concerning exchange of data and availability or freedom of access to scientific information, scientific data. And we have representatives to UN COPOS, the UN Committee for Peaceful Use of the Outer Space. So we have just been through, you've heard, and be part of the voting of changes of the statutes and bylaws, which has been also a great concern and been handled by the IAU Executive Committee in this triennial. And as a consequence of the change in the major change and revision of the statutes and the bylaws in the previous General Assembly, also there's been a lot of changes to the working rules of the IAU, which has now is in place. Yeah. I would take another minute to just mention that we have upgraded the database and of the IAU, the server. It has this has taken considerably effort and time, and the work started in 2004, and it involved the two people and the General Secretary, because we had to do actually the layout and the design of the new structure. It is now in place but not finished, but it will allow now individual members to communicate with each other and communicate more efficiently also with the union. And also allow us now to keep closer contact with the membership through IAU newsletters, etc. And I like to close this by thanking also the two people in the Secretariat for the great work that they have, conscientious and invaluable work that on the database and all the other work that I've done to serve the best interest of the IAU. And I think that by this I will close my report. Thank you.
Okay, that leaves us with just 3 items, but they are items which may interest you. The process of electing a slate of candidates for the next vice president, for the next president-elect, for the next assistant general secretary, and to replace the three vice presidents who move on is the responsibility of the Special Nominating Committee. Now, I've just discovered that my piece of paper isn't here. Efficient General Secretary was cleaning up. So I hadn't actually looked at what was on this before. So this is the slate for the new executive committee. So the Special Nominating Committee, which is set up in a General Assembly, was set up in Sydney, of which I was the chair, came with the new candidates for the new executive, and these will be presented for a vote in the closing ceremony. The slate of candidates are for President-elect Bob Williams of the USA, for Assistant General Secretary Ian Corbett, and for the 3 new vice presidents, Martha Haynes from the United States, George Miley from the Netherlands, and Giancarlo Setti from Italy. These then join the other names on that list who continue from the previous triennium. So this is the slate that will be formalized in the closing ceremony. Another thing which happens during this period is the decision on the host country for the General Assembly 2012. As you know, 2009 we will meet in Rio, and we make the decision here for 2012. This is a huge effort that people take to host these General Assemblies, and we are delighted to have 4 proposals which are now under consideration and will be decided and reported back to you at the end of the General Assembly. We have proposals to host from Beijing in China, for Paris, France, Hamburg, Germany, and Thessaloniki, Greece. And you will hear the result of this again in session 2 after the closing ceremony on the 24th of August. With that, I think I have just one small announcement. The Gruber lecture was announced incorrectly at the end of the Gruber ceremony. In fact, the local organizers have moved the Gruber lecture to this Congress Hall. So if you want to go and hear the Gruber lecture tomorrow at lunch, it'll be here in the Congress Hall. I believe that is all the General Secretary, all the business for this session. Oh, of course. I'm sorry. I should have done this. And so you can tell your name. It has just been pointed out to me that I didn't offer an opportunity for people to discuss the report of the General Secretary.
Alex Gurstein, Commission 41. A long time ago, more than a year, The UNESCO Director General invited our union to participate in the so-called World Heritage Initiative, to participate in creation of a list of sites and other astronomical articles of World Heritage importance. So far, to the best of my knowledge, there was no reaction from Executive Committee. Can you comment on this issue?
Yes, we are aware of these requests, and we'll take note of your question here and be more aggressive in following up on this.
Thank you very much. So your decision will be positive, I hope.
We will follow up. Any other questions to the report by the General Secretary? Yes.
Yes, Brian Marsden. I'm the director of the Minor Planet Center, or I shall be for the next 10 days. I'm glad to know that there is a memorandum of agreement. I merely wish to comment that I have never seen the memorandum of agreement. Would it be reasonable to read it at this meeting, or is that of no interest to most of the people here? I'm just registering this remark that I have never seen it.
Well, I see no reason why we should not even we could publish it in a newspaper.
This agreement, which has taken a very long time, as you're aware, we are delighted that it's only within the last few weeks that it's been finally signed. But certainly we can make it available. Okay, seeing no more questions and assuming there are some thirsty people, I declare session 1 of the General Assembly closed, and I look forward to seeing you all again in session 2 on 24th August, where we will have important matters to consider. Thank you.